Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to head down to London once again, and we're going to revisit a brewery you've seen me review from a number of times before, but this is a beer that I tried a while back, really enjoyed, but just never actually got around to reviewing. So for this one we're going to return to the Beavertown Brewery, and we're having a taste of the Black Betty today. So this is their Black IPA. It comes in at 7.4%, and as I said, I can tell you personally this is a pretty damn good beer. I've just never seen it in a shop actually, but then the Hop Knocker in Durham, they got a bunch of them in, so I thought, right, I really need to buy one of these and just make a review of this, because this is a beer I've actually wanted to review for quite some time. So definitely looking forward to tasting this beer again, and as always I hope you guys enjoy my take on this one. So anyway, as is usual with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, of course, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, a link to my other reviews that I've done from Beavertown before. No doubt there will be some more in the near future. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel, of course, has a geography-based tagging system, so you can go into the home page and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlist of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the English beers that I've reviewed for you. That's constantly being added to, and as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. If you are particularly interested in Beavertown reviews as well, do make sure you check out Beardy Brett's beer reviews. He loves Beavertown, and he reviews these a lot more regularly than I do. I'll put the link to his page in the description below as well, and I'll also put the link to the Hop Knocker in Durham where I bought this beer. Do make sure you check out that shop and Market Hall Wines if you find yourself in the local area. But yeah, let's get on to Beavertown Brewery then, on to my brewery notes. So as I told you before, Beavertown Brewery was established back in December 2011 by Logan Plant and Byron Knight in the kitchen of Duke's Brewing Q in De Beauvoir in Hackney in London. Beavertown, of course, the name Beavertown comes from the fact that this is the old Cockney name for this area to London. But the brewery was located opposite the Smokers of Barbecue restaurant, and in the very early days they were really small. They were only running 650 litre brews at the time, but in March 2013 they moved out of their home at Duke's Brewing Q and moved into their new brew house, which was in Fish Island in London, and since then they've moved on to a new 11,000 square foot facility in Tottenham Hale, where they also have their tap room as well. But in 2018 they actually struck a deal with Tottenham Hotspur, their local football team, to open a microbrewery and tap room at the stadium. If I remember rightly, that's White Hart Lane. I can never remember the names of some of these stadiums, but that was apparently the first deal of its kind when it comes to the English Premier League with the football. So that will be a really interesting thing to see how that develops. But also this year they also did a deal with Heineken to actually fund them for a new brewery. They sold a minority share in their company, they were saying, but it's a lot of people are saying it's around 49%, so there is kind of question marks over that. And you know, the whole thing goes back to economics. It's given big business more influence and things like that. Personally, I do have my reservations about that, but I can't be bothered, you know, debating it to death as some people in the craft beer world do. But this beer was bought before that deal went through, so at least we know this beer is going to be alright. But as I say, I've tried this one before, I know it's a good beer, and I'm just looking forward to thinking about it a little bit more with you. But we'll see how Beavertown progress over the next little while. It is a bit disappointing to see another kind of small independent company being swallowed up by one of the giants, but you know, that there's so many companies that's happened to over the last little while. It's kind of sad that that's the way the economics of the country goes. But yeah, Beavertown Brewery, one of the more recognisable English craft breweries. Have a go at some of their beers if you like. The Gamma Ray, of course, is a bit of an icon. Black Betty's really good. They've got their neck oil, and they've got a few other things in there that are definitely worth trying. So if you're interested in English craft beer, have a go at some of the Beavertown beers, because they do tend to be really quite good actually. But yeah, that's all you really need to know about the brewery just now. Check out the links in the description below. Like I said, you can follow them on Facebook and keep up to date with all the different things that are going on. So the specs of this beer then, this one is a 7.4% Black IPA. It's hot with Magnum, Columbus, both of which are just kind of standard bittering hops, and then there's Chinook and Citra in there as well, and it's got a malt base of pale, Cara Gold, Caramel, Wheat, Carafa 2 and Carafa 3 apparently. So yeah, as I say, this was a beer that I really enjoyed the first time I tried it, and it's just, you know, it's quite rare to find a really good Black IPA these days. There was a whole craze about black IPAs, you know, the stout malt base, the IPA hops and things like that a couple of years ago, but it seems to have died off now. But there are some breweries still actually attempting it. Everyone seems to be going for the hazy New England IPAs these days, though. There you can see the typical Beavertown sort of psychedelic type artwork. But a really nicely presented beer, this one, and I'm glad that I was able to to get a hold of one of these for you, because it's a beer, as I say, that I really enjoyed. But 7.4% black IPA. Without further ado, let's get this guy out and we'll get on with the tasting then. See how we go. So as you can see, and as you would expect, this guy's pouring a really nice dark sort of Coca-Cola mahogany colour. But that looks really, really nice. So yeah, and you can smell some of these nice fruity qualities coming off the beer already. But there you can see, really nice dark sort of ebony rosewood, almost mahogany Coca-Cola type colour. That's, you know, a lot of descriptors there, but that's the kind of colour this beer goes. If I hold it in front of the light, it definitely has a dark sort of mahogany edge to it. There's a solid finger of a frothy, I would say light beige head on this one. One or two big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass, quite a few little ones just heading up towards the bottom of that head there. There's one or two tiny little bits of sediment just floating around in the bottom there. That's because my fridge that I have here is actually quite cold. I probably should turn the temperature up on it a little bit. But yeah, really nice looking beer. This one, you can smell some of the lovely juicy fruity qualities coming out of this beer. So let's take a closer look at the aroma then and just see how we get on with this one. Smells really nice, that. So as you would expect, you've got that nice roasted black malt backbone to this beer. There's a good bit of almost kind of bready quality on top of that. It definitely has a little bit of a kind of brown bready hint to it. But yeah, nice little bit of a kind of, there's definitely brown sugar in there. There's a sort of dark roasted caramel note there. It is quite a roasted brown sugar quality that comes out of this beer. Maybe a little bit of biscuit. There's definitely a bit of a kind of lighter, sweeter caramel in there as well, and some kind of biscuity notes. The malt base in this one does actually come across as quite complex, which is nice for a black IPA. One of the best black IPAs I ever had though was Black Salts and Body Malts from Toil. That was a beautiful, beautiful beer, that. And this one, when I tried it, really actually, it reminded me of just like a kind of smaller version of that, if that makes sense. I think that's why I enjoyed this one so much. But yeah, in terms of the hoppy side of things, there's a little touch of earthiness there, but you can really smell the big sort of spicy floral and resinous notes. You know, the Chinook's going to give you a big kind of pine resin note to the beer, and the Magnum and the Columbus, of course, they really, they just kind of give you quite a, they give you a sort of, just a kind of, almost like, I think the Columbus can give you an almost kind of curry spice-ish type thing to it. But it's really, just really nice, this beer. It has that nice big spicy floral aromatic note. It's got those pine resins as well, and the fruits are quite nice as well. It's got a bit of a tropical note to it. You can smell a little bit of that kind of mango from the Citra, and it's got some almost red fruity qualities to it as well. When you mix Citra with the really dark malts and stuff, of course, you do get kind of different fruits. There's almost a kind of red fruity quality coming out of this beer, because of the way those hops are kind of interacting with the malts in this one. So there is a little bit of a red fruity quality to it, but it's got a nice bit of grapefruit in there as well. That'll be the Chinook that's giving you that, right enough. But there's definitely a nice element of tropical fruit and some juicy sort of red qualities as well. But overall, a really nice smelling beer. So take a little bit of time and enjoy the aroma before you get stuck into it. But let's have a taste of this one then. This is the Black Betty, the Black IPA at 7.4% from Beavertown Brewery in London in England. Let's get stuck into this one. Slàinte, skål. That's a really nice beer, that. As I say, take a little bit of time and have a taste, and you know, try this beer for yourself. If you like black IPAs, this is one you're definitely going to enjoy. One of the things I've always said about black IPAs is I think they're at their best when they're imperial. The main reason I've always said that is because I like a bit of sweetness in the malt base. I like a little bit of brown sugar and things like that in it. And I think particularly when it comes to the black IPAs, that's something that that really just gives the beer a little bit more complexity. If it's just a straight pale malt with a little bit of black malt base, personally I find that a little bit kind of boring, if that makes sense. I do like there to be a bit of a kind of caramel thing in the beer, and this one definitely has that. And at 7.4%, it's still technically a regular IPA rather than an imperial IPA, so it kind of destroys my argument, if you like. But yeah, with this one then, you can feel that nice roasted black malt base in there. That you can feel that just blanket the middle of your tongue. There's the sort of pale malty qualities just underneath that. As the flavour goes on though, you can feel the brown sugar start to come out on the middle of your tongue. There is quite a nice slightly roasted brown sugar bit there, but as it progresses on, it does become gradually sweeter, and you get the kind of lighter sort of caramel notes. I think there's a little element of a kind of biscuity flavour in there as well, which is quite nice. Yeah, I mean, this is a good beer. It really is very, very nice, and as I say, I'm glad that I was able to review this one for you. But the malt base has a really nice kind of complexity to it. There's almost a little bit of a kind of, not, it's almost got a little touch of coffee to it, which is the thing, but it's not quite as, I know it obviously isn't coffee, but there is almost just a little hint of that kind of flavour coming out of this one, especially as you go further and further with it. Back corners of the palate, you've got a little touch of earthiness there. As you come further forward along the sides of the tongue, that earthiness does just spread a little bit, but then it becomes really quite spicy and resinous. You've got that nice big spicy floral aromatic note from the Columbus in there, and the Magnum, and you can feel some of the pine resins from the Chinook just pushing their way through as well. And then round the very front curve of the palate, that's when you get that nice sort of that nice little kind of lighter grassy note. Then just behind the front curve of the tongue, that's where you get that little oily bubble where those juicy fruity esters start to come out of the beer. And this one's quite interesting. You can really feel the sort of darker grapefruit flavours there, kind of forming the linchpin of the beer. So yeah, you can feel the grapefruity notes in there. As you advance further into the beer, you can feel, you can detect a little bit of the mangoes and stuff like that coming out from the Chinook, but it really becomes more of a kind of red fruity note that comes out of this beer. It's got quite a candied, almost figgy, raisiny type thing, raisin sultana type thing coming out of this beer. I always find that fascinating about these hops, because obviously with the Citra, you'd get mangoes, you'd get a bit of gooseberry, you'd get a bit of lychee and things like that. Just as you kind of go, as you go into the aftertaste and stuff. And in a regular IPA, you'd get that, but when you mix it with these kind of big dark malts, you start to get red fruits and sultanas, figs, raisins, all of these kind of things. It's always, the whole beer chemistry thing really is fascinating as to how you can get all of these different flavours and things. I always find that really interesting. But in terms of the black IPA, this one's nice because it's got the big hoppiness that you expect. It's got the fruitiness that you'd want as well. The malt base is a little bit more complex than some of the black IPAs that I've come across. I will say that about this one, but it's got the nice roasted element that you expect. To me, this one does lean a little bit more towards that roasty, toasty side of things, but it does have a little bit of sweetness. As I would say, if you like your black IPAs to be a little bit sweeter, go for something like Black Salts and Body Malts from Toil. If you like them to be a little bit more roasted, then I would say go for something like this. But overall, as I say, it's a really, really nice beer, this one. It's a really solid black IPA, this, and that's why I wanted to review it for you guys on the channel. But yeah, that's in terms of flavour, there's not really much more you can say about it. It's more a roasty, toasty type black IPA, this one, but it does have a little bit of sweetness that you would expect of some of the Imperial black IPAs. So for me, that's probably why I liked it so much, because it does have that little bit of sweetness. In terms of the mouthfeel then, mid-bodied, carbonation, it's fairly smooth on this one. It's a little bit active, though the carbonation's quite moderate on this one. Overall, the mouthfeel is a little bit oily. There's a little bit of wetness in there too. The malt base, like I said, has a good balance between the roasty, bitter qualities and the kind of sweeter elements. There's a good bit of hoppy bitterness to this beer, and there's a nice bit of juicy, fruity character as well. But overall, a really, really solid beer. I'm glad that I got to review this one for you guys, and I hope you've enjoyed my take on it. I'm glad that I was able to review this one when I was, because I don't think I would have been able to get this beer over in Sweden. So yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed my take on this one. So yeah, until the next time, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Check out all my social media and things. You'll find all the links in the description below. Make sure you try some of the Beavertown beers if you haven't already, and do let me know your own thoughts on this one in the comment section below. Do give me some recommendations for black IPAs as well, because it is a style that's a bit harder to find these days. Most breweries, of course, are focusing on the New England IPAs and stuff like this, but this one was a really, really nice beer, the Black Betty from Beavertown Brewery in London in England. Really glad that I got to review this one for you. Thanks again for watching, and I will catch you guys very soon. Until the next time, it stands just now, I'll catch you guys later. Skål.